So the Utah Jazz, they're in a position where they can make a franchise-altering move for the next decade if they go through with it. And that's, of course, a Donovan Mitchell trade. So what is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? I'm going to kind of bring here a mini-series here where I'm going to be giving you 5 steps, 5 ways to build for the future for the Utah Jazz. I think they have a very interesting kind of scenario going on with them, and I'm going to start off this mini-series with them. And if you guys want to see more of these, drop a thumbs up. I'm going to be giving you guys 5 things I think the Jazz should focus on and how they should build their roster over the next 5 years to set them up for the next 5 and 10 years. So number 1 is to offload veteran contracts for either young players or draft picks. So this isn't contingent on a Donovan Mitchell trade. I think no matter what, they should go this route. The Western Conference in 2022/23 is way too loaded to try to be a 7 seed and rinse and repeat with this team. You have teams that are clearly better than them, like the Memphis Grizzlies, the LA Clippers, the Golden State Warriors, the Dallas Mavericks, Phoenix Suns, and other teams that you're going to take over them, like the Dallas Mavericks, the New Orleans Pelicans, the Minnesota Timberwolves, Portland Trailblazers, and probably even the LA Lakers. So the Jazz should 100% take a step back this season. We kind of know that they are doing that with the Rudy Gobert trade. But either way, either it's right now for the rest of the offseason or leading up into the trade deadline, move off of these 4 guys or as many as you can. Mike Conley, the first one. He's got 2 years left on his deal at about $22.5 million. He's 34 years old. He's still a solid point guard. Now, there's been some Russell Westbrook rumors out there that they could maybe get involved in that trade if there's a 3-teamer with the Knicks and Mitchell. Try to do something with Mike Conley. And if you can't move him this offseason, hopefully he plays well this year to move him for next offseason. But if you can get something for him, you do it. You go in a different direction. You clear up that cap space over the next 2 years, which you can maybe use on a restricted free agent or to take on other bad salary, but also getting draft picks or a young player on that deal. Try your best to move Conley. It is tough with his salary, but it is not impossible. Next guy they should look to move is Bojan Bogdanovic, who is an expiring deal, 1-year deal, just under $20 million at 19.5. And he's somebody that has gone for a first-round pick at the deadline before, back, I believe, from the Nets to the Pacers. And they should look to try to do the same thing here if he shows that he could still be a really good shooter at the 4 position. But like with Mike Conley, his contract size, it'll be a challenge. These guys are not going to be easy slam dunks to move. They will be hard just because of their high salary caps, but they are far from impossible, and they have to play their cards right. Maybe right now is not the right time to move them. They will not get good value for them on the trade market, but hey, if they wait until December and January and a team is kind of teetering with maybe being that 6th seed or in that playing tournament, and they're willing to give up maybe a top 20 protected first or something like that, or a young player that's not really playing, you go for that. Like, hey, like, for an example, call up the Pelicans. See if they would be interested in a Mike Conley to lead that team at the point guard position. Take on Devontae Graham's not great contract, but hey, try to get one of those Lakers picks down the line. Even if you get a Milwaukee Bucks pick, maybe you take a chance on Kyra Lewis, one of those young guys, or Jackson Hayes. You do what you can to get some value for Conley and Bogdanovic. These other 2 contracts would probably be easier to move because they're a little bit less. Jordan Clarkson has 2 years left on his deal at about $13 million. We know Jordan Clarkson will not be 1, 2, or 3 on a perennial playoff team, so you should look to move him to try to get a first-round pick. 2 years of control, a team might value that. You hope he kind of starts off well during this season, starts shooting the ball well, moving it off the ball well, and a team would definitely give up a first-round pick or a young player for him. And the last one is Patrick Beverley, who is an expiring contract, 34 years old. I don't know if a team would give up a first-round pick for him, but you could definitely get 2 good second-round picks or a young player for his playoff caliber defense. Basically, you're going to get out of him. So that's what the first step they should do no matter what. Mitchell on this team or not, you just go all in on the tank, or you capitalize on these aging players that do not even fit your timeline for the next 3 years. So that was step number 1. Way number 1 that they should look for the future. Still don't know what I'm calling this. But number 2 is to trade Donovan Mitchell only if it's an offer you can't refuse. By no means do you have to trade Donovan Mitchell right now. He's 25 years old and he has 4 years left on his current contract. Like the Nets, who just had their star player, Kevin Durant, request a trade, doesn't look like they're going to move him. You, by any means, do not have to move Mitchell, and he hasn't publicly requested a trade. This has just been kind of rumors and reports, maybe the Jazz getting in there a little bit, that they would move Mitchell. But yeah, Mitchell hasn't publicly said, trade me, like we've seen with like Anthony Davis in the past, or just recently with Kevin Durant. So you don't have to move him if you don't think you're getting good value in return. But if you are going to get a similar package to what Rudy Gobert just got you, and maybe a little bit better, which included 4 first-round picks all the way out until 2029 as well from Minnesota. You just got Walker Kessler, who was just a first-round pick in the 2022 draft. You have veteran players that you could flip like Patrick Beverley and Malik Beasley. And then you also got young players like Leandro Balmaro and Jared Vanderbilt in that deal. Yeah, that's a good package that you can get for Donovan Mitchell. Or if you're going to get 5+ first-round picks, including swaps, and a caliber player like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you look to do that, similar to what the Thunder got in exchange for Paul George. And a little side note, you might be like, Matt, why not move Malik Beasley? I think it might be best to give Malik Beasley a lot of playing time this year, and hopefully his efficiency can back up his style of play. Maybe he's going to put up empty stats on a bad team, but that will be okay because that will up his trade value, and a team will definitely give you a premier asset for him in the offseason next year. But yeah, back on the Donovan Mitchell trade, you don't have to move him. You can continue to build around him, and his contract isn't terrible. Like, we're seeing Damian Lillard get $60 million, so $30 million for Donovan Mitchell is not bad in the slightest. So, like I said, only move him if there is a Godfather package on the table. If you see a team getting desperate and they're willing to give you a lot, like if the Knicks are willing to give you 6 first-round picks and 3 young players, you get into that. If you have a team that's maybe desperate out there, I don't know, like the Sacramento Kings, and they're at a point where like, okay, De'Aaron Fox isn't our guy. You get De'Aaron Fox in multiple picks. You do that. I'm just kind of spitballing here. You know what I mean? And you don't have to move him right now. In a year from now, there could be plenty of teams looking to get Donovan Mitchell and realizing maybe their top guy isn't the long-term answer. Like I said, with De'Aaron Fox could potentially be that guy. Who knows, like Pelicans, like Brandon Ingram. I'm not saying that's happening. I'm just kind of putting those examples out there. We can get a solid player in return. And maybe Michael Porter Jr. has a great year, but the Nuggets fall short. And you can maybe get Michael Porter Jr. who can kind of jumpstart your rebuild as well. So don't feel like you have to jump on a package right now, Utah. Number 3, figure out when you're going to tank versus when you're not going to tank. So in 2023, they have their own first-round pick. So this backs up my kind of point number 1 that, hey, lose as many games as possible this year. Offload your talented players for younger assets, give them some run, and get some draft picks because, hey, you can maybe land a Victor Wembanyama or a Dariq Whitehead, maybe one of the Thompson twins. You can get Scoot Henderson, Nick Smith. It's a very loaded draft class in the top, probably 10. Yeah, you can get a lot of good players in this class, so it's not a bad idea to be bad this year, Utah. So you can look into that. In 2024, it gets a little bit dicey because they do have their first-round pick top 10 protected from OKC, which is fine. You're a bottom 10 team, you get to keep it. But then you should be good in 2025. That's also top 10 protected. 2026, it's top 8 protected. And then it's not, if it's not conveyed to Utah, or excuse me, OKC, then it becomes a second-round pick in 2028, which is fine. But yeah, kind of pick your time, like when you want to go back. Maybe you think you're going to be a bottom 10 team 2023, 2024, 2025, which is fine. But in 2026, if you're not a bottom 8 team, try to be a top 10 team or a top 12 or 14, aka playoff team. So look into that. Know when you want to tank. Just correlate it with your draft picks. But if, say, they are the, I don't know, the 14th pick in the 2024 draft, then the Thunder get it, but then you have your picks going forward. And kind of step number 4, talking point number 4, still kind of on that draft part, because the draft is a big part about a team rebuilding, retooling, about your future, and that is load up in a specific draft class. So they have 3 potential firsts in the 2023 class. They have their first, they have the Minnesota Timberwolves first from the Rudy Gobert trade, and then it gets a little confusing. They might have the Rockets pick, they might have the Sixers pick, they might have the Nets pick. This was from the Royce O'Neal trade. They're not going to get a great one. They're probably going to get the worst one out of those 3, but hey, you're going to have pretty much guaranteed 3 first-round picks in the 2023 draft. And like I just said, the 2023 draft is very good. So you can look to kind of load up there, maybe use a package. I doubt the team that gets number 1 would trade back and give up Victor Wembanyama. But hey, that maybe get you a package that gets you a Cam Whitmore or a Dariq Whitehead or Scoot Henderson. And they also have 2 potential first-round picks in 2025, 2027, and 2029. Guaranteed in 2025 and well, not guaranteed because their protection in 2024 is a little bit dicey, but hey, they're projected to have that alongside the Minnesota Timberwolves picks, and I don't think Minnesota, like, who knows what they're going to be in 2029. That pick is top 3 protected, but hey, that's a good asset to have. Like I said, if you can maybe move Conley and Bogdanovich for Russell Westbrook, buy him out, and then you get a Lakers 2027 first, you do that, because who knows where the Lakers are going to be in 2027. And then if you're looking at maybe the 2024 draft class, you got guys like DJ Wagner, Kwame Evans, Mackenzie Mgbako, Ron Holland, Robert Dillingham, G.G. Jackson, who actually just decommitted out of UNC. I believe is going to South Carolina. Like, that's a good class as well. I think 2022 is going to be a little bit better, but 2023's class, it's going to be a little bit better, but 2024 draft class is going to be solid as well. So load up in kind of specific draft classes and know what you want to do, either to build around Donovan Mitchell or to either look long term. And I would try to have as big of a cap sheet as possible for 2024. Don't commit to long term money. Having just that $30 million or whatever it ascends to, $34 million for Donovan Mitchell is fine in 2024. But it is a very good draft class on some guys that who knows, like Ken signed with you. The top guys, PG, Kawhi, believe they have player options. They're not probably joining Utah. They're going to be a little bit older. You got guys like Tobias Harris. I mean, he's probably not going to cost what he's going for now. You got Chris Middleton, Pascal Siakam, Drew Holiday, CJ McCollum, Kristaps Porzingis, DeMar DeRozan, Jaylen Brown, who went to school in Cal. I don't know if you'd want to go to Utah because you're not the biggest free agency destination, but these are some of the guys, if you have an open cap sheet, you can go after. Fred VanVleet, Lonzo Ball, Domantas Sabonis. I doubt he cares where he plays. DeJounte Murray, Gary Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Kyle Kuzma, Jonas Valanciunas. And we're not in like the days where it's like you got to be in New York, you got to be in Cali to really build your brand. Giannis, one of the more popular NBA players. Nikola Jokic, they're winning MVPs in quote-unquote smaller markets. So with social media and everything, they can really use that to their advantage if you're the guy that saves Utah. So yeah, I hope you guys kind of enjoyed that video talking about the Utah Jazz future and kind of ways I think they should go about it, looking at maybe a 3 to 5 year plan. And if you guys enjoyed this, let me know if you did by dropping a thumbs up, and down below which team I should do next of this. If you want to see maybe what I think the Lakers should do and how they should plan out their next 5 years, because it gets a little dicey with LeBron's age, with AD's contract, with the Russ situation, just let me know. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I love y'all, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.